Yolanda Yo-Yo Whitaker whipped crimped blonde braids and bragged. The earrings I wear are called dolphins. And I became bigger. Bigger than my block, bigger than my neon green and black biker shorts that copped from the swap meet, where airbrush tees, corduroys, and rows of gold were sold, like the dolphin earrings my father bought. Four gold dolphins, connected two by two at the nose. And I was wrapped by these shining creatures, swimming toward each other, bouncing daily from the earlobes that foretold my skin tone from birth. And Yo Yo grew like me from streets of gray and grace and wrapped me golden like dolphins, break the light above ocean waves, make surviving the deep look easy.
You had the men trying to portray that image and the women fighting against it. I was just allowed a voice at that time that got recognition. My whole thing was respect the black woman, and you can't talk to us like that because at that time that's all the rap was out there.
I fell in love with hip hop in 1978. I am a collector of rare and hard to find music and movie memorabilia, and I work in the archives and collections department for Universal Hip Hop Museum.
We need journalists to sound the alarm and put the spotlight on the remarkable achievements of these women. Contrary to the influential televised lies that crush self-esteem, powerful, self-respecting women in hip-hop exists.
Doree Henry was Eazy-E's assistant. Her take on aspiring artists today.
And a true artist is themselves, and they create their own lane.
Now she's CEO of her own company.
And really just the experience itself helped me branch out, because even though we came out with IBWC, IBW with my crew and Cleopatra, Girl Don't Be No Fool and all these other things, we also came out with Gangsta Rap, Bonnie and Clyde, blah, blah, blah. The media was really putting labels on us. I was trying to figure out a way that we could, that I could be a voice of women.
My name is Yo-Yo, I'm not a one more. I like to flow so swift, it's got to be a gift. So yo, let the beat lift as I rip and rhyme and rap and slap all the girls who can't adapt to the fact I hit the 8 ball often. The earrings I wear are called dolphins. Check the booty, yo, it's kinda soft, and if you touch it, you're living in a coffin. I'm in the 90s, you're still in the 80s, right? I rock the mic, they say I'm not ladylike, but I'm a lady, but we don't pull a stunt though. I kill suckers and even hit the block, so what you wanna do, you must play it rough. Cause to me, you simply can't get none. You're wetter, get a holler, and it's no televised view.
No, you can't play with my yo-yo.
Don't try to play me out, don't try to play me out. Don't try to play me out, don't try to play me out.
With my yo-yo.
Don't try to play me out, don't try to play me out. Don't try to play me out.
Thank you for joining us for the Compton Arts Project's 5th Reading the City, Compton FreeStyle. My name is Rosalind McGarry. I'm Creative Director of Sēpia Artist Collective and Cake Cutter Institute, our nonprofit arts partner. The Reading the City series is part of the Compton Arts Project, which organizes community through the arts and builds programming that highlights Compton's cultural impact while centering Compton and South LA artists of color. The series features conversations with artists of different disciplines with connections to Compton. Today we'll be discussing women who have made an impact in hip hop. We'd like to thank the founders and artists of the Compton Communicative Arts Academy for paving the way for the work that we do here, and Archivist Ford for maintaining the archive and allowing us access to it. For more information about the Compton Arts Project and the artists featured today, visit us on Instagram at Sēpia Collective, at the Compton Arts Project, or our website, sepiacollective.com. Throughout tonight's event, please feel free to type in any questions in the Q&A box to be read later during the Q&A session. This is a safe space for us to share with each other, so please keep that in mind when making comments in the chat and posting questions. This night is so special because it is our last Reading the City of the year. which is why we started it off with that throwback to Janice Miller, our co-producer, at our very first Reading the City, reading a poem about Yo-Yo. And now Yo-Yo is here with 3 other dynamic women to talk with us. We couldn't be more honored to introduce them now. Yolanda Yo-Yo Whitaker is a Grammy-nominated hip-hop entertainer, actress, educator, and philanthropist. Born in Compton and raised in South Central Los Angeles, her big break came on Ice Cube's 1990 debut, It's a Man's World. Her own debut, Make Way for the Motherlode, introduced her iconic confident attitude. A true musical legend, her songs and features, You Can't Play With My Yo-Yo, Romantic Call, Bonnie and Clyde theme, and Brandy's I Wanna Be Down remix with MC Lyte and Queen Latifah are classics. She has appeared in the Academy Award-nominated film Boys in the Hood. Boys in the Hood, television shows, and recently cast in the Disney Channel Pilot Saturdays. She is a teacher and mentor through her Intelligent Black Women's Coalition and Yo-Yo School of Hip Hop, and a proud mother and grandmother. Shari Henry is a Southern California native and music business veteran. She worked with Queen Latifah as part of Flavor Unit's West Coast division, managing Queen Latifah, Naughty by Nature, Faith Evans, Outkast, and others, and later as a manager in Flavor Unit's film and TV division. She joined Ruthless Records as Eric Eazy-E Wright's executive assistant and was influential in developing the careers of Eazy-E, NWA, Bone Thugs and Harmony, and countless others. She has been responsible for hits by an array of artists including Dr. Dre, King T, Jamie Foxx, Shakira, Kelly Rowland, Cassie, and The Game. She is owner and president of CIW2 Inc., an entertainment consulting, publishing, and production company. Martha Diaz, MD, is an award-winning community organizer, media producer, archivist, educator, and curator, and social entrepreneur. She has produced and consulted on numerous hip-hop media projects and founded the highly acclaimed Hip Hop Odyssey International Film Festival. MD declared 2008 the year of the hip-hop woman, and together with a group of hip-hop feminists, launched the Fresh, Bold, and So Deaf initiative to pay tribute to and preserve the contributions of women in hip-hop. In 2010, MD launched the Hip Hop Education Center. She has worked on archival projects with Parkwood Entertainment, the Tupac Shakur Estate, and the National Jazz Museum. She serves as an advisor and chair of archives, curatorial, and educational affairs at the Universal Hip Hop Museum. And our moderator, SenYon Kelly, is a Los Angeles native and producer, serial entrepreneur, investor, and curator. She is the operations manager and a member of the Museum Collections and Archives Committee of the Universal Hip Hop Museum, and is co-curator of the current UHHM Revolution of Hip Hop exhibit at the Bronx Terminal Market. She is the CEO, founder of Nubian Video Archives and Collectibles, which holds an inventory of African American film and memorabilia not readily available elsewhere from one source. She has TV credits for research for the documentary Roots, celebrating 25 years, and Jules Catch One, which was picked up by Ava DuVernay's Array for streaming on Netflix. It's my pleasure to hand the mic to her now so we can enjoy you all's conversation. SenYon, thank you for being here.
Everybody, thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And let's get started. So, Yo-Yo, I have a question for you. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
How you doing? How everyone?
I am amazing. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I just want to say the intro was amazing. I was sitting over here in awe. Cannot go forward without saying how beautiful that was. Thank you so much. The poetry was breathtaking. The intro was amazing. It just, makes you feel great to be a part of hip hop.
We love you, Yo-Yo.
Yeah,
I love you too. It makes you feel good. Thank you so much. I'm very honored.
We are too. Okay, so my first question is for you, Yo-Yo. So can you talk a bit about your journey? Like, basically, where'd you get your start and where was hip hop at that moment when you came into the scene?
Well, I got my start with, of course, the amazing Ice Cube, who was, in my eyes, just this humongous superstar in Los Angeles, in California. I hate to minimize it. in California from NWA. So that's where I got my start. Excuse me, let's back up. I originally started listening to Sugar Hill Gang. Blondie, Sequence, Salt and Pepper, Run DMC, listening to King T, listening to the Battle Ram. I mean, all of those influences inspired me to become who I am today. Young girl from Compton, born in Linwood, from Compton, to Carson, to South Central Los Angeles, where I got my start. My influence was that was my influence. My influence was hearing that and wanting to, Tina Marie, a Cameo, when the Time, who, Prince took over the Time, but even hear him into 777 93 11.
Yeah.
Hip hop to me, because of all of those people who had come before, it was almost like it was calling my name.
Right.
And allowed me to, to want to pursue it. And, that was my start.
All right, cool. Shari Henry.
Well, hi everyone.
Hello, hi. How are you?
Hi everybody. Hi Yoyo. Hi esteemed panel. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, Compton Arts Project. It's an honor to be here, and especially since I have been plopped into this Compton music scene for a very long time. I actually got my start. People don't know I was a rapper first. I was a rapper, and that's actually my cousin. His name is DJ Battery Brain, Mark Rogers. He was an infamous DJ that used to put out singles like how Dr. Dre did with the Wrecking Crew. He was pretty huge, and I used to go over there and watch them record, and they would be freestyling. And so then I would just sit there and watch them, and, and then they would go around the room, and then they looked at me, said, "It's your turn." So then I was like, what? I don't rap. So then I started rapping, freestyling. They loved it. I talked about everybody in the room. And from there, it was history. Somehow, I don't know how I ended up meeting Arabian Prince. He loved me to death. So when I met Arabian, but let me backtrack.
Okay.
I got introduced to NWA and Compton per se, because of course we all, Sugar Hill Gang, Salt and Pepper, Queen Latifah, MC Light, my favorite. However, for Los Angeles, for me, it was Uncle Jam's Army, as a kid, just dancing, just the whole vibe. Like, people don't understand how Uncle Jam's Army just really put it down for hip hop, just musically, the sound. I mean, we've been doing dance and fast music and Egyptian Lover forever. However, I met my cousin, and so then he introduced me. So then Arabian Prince loved me, and so he was with NWA at the time. So I was like, oh my God, if I do anything to meet Dr. Dre and sign with Easy and Dr. Dre. He was like, no problem, you were. And he was doing JJ Fad's album at the time. So, and in doing so, I used to go to the studio. You know how you got to be down and hang around. I go to the studio, hang out with him while he was recording JJ Fad's album. They had already had the Supersonic out.
Yeah.
So about 3 weeks, I was impatient. I wasn't really a rapper. It wasn't in my heart, like probably Yo-Yo and the rest of the artists, even though I loved hip hop, but I was just kind of thrown into it. And so when he told me that Salt and Pepper were making money, I said, you know what, I'm going to do this, right? So, and in doing so, he introduced me. He didn't introduce me, and I was getting impatient. So one day, me and my friend went to the Palladium, and we saw Eazy-E. He was there. We just happened to run into him. And so I had been with Arabian all this time for about 3 weeks, right? And so just, in the studio, just hanging out and everything. And so I pushed through the crowd, and I was like, his security was blocking me. And I said, Easy, I'm a teenager at this time. I'm like 17 years old. And so I said, Easy. And he was like, let her through. They were blocking me out. And he was like, I said, I'm your new artist. And he was like, huh? I said, he didn't know anything about me. I was like, and then Arabian was like, I said, Arabian didn't tell you about me? And then at that moment, they were breaking up. He says, well, you're the girl that Arabian's been talking about. Well, take my number down, because we're about to kick Arabian out the group. So I said, I didn't know really who Arabian Prince was. I was an Eazy-E fan. I thought he was a kid, and Dr. Dre. So in doing so, I got his number. We became, I was on the roster. I became an artist on Ruthless. I was supposed to come out after the DOC. People don't really know that. They went on a 100-city tour. When you look at the Express Yourself video, that is me in the video as an artist with my hat to the back and my money sign and my name and all of that stuff. So you have to rewind that back. You'll see me clear as day. And that was the day, let me tell you, and I'm going to end this short. That was the day that I decided that I was not going to be a rapper. I watched him that whole weekend. He had 2 beepers. One he would call back and one he wouldn't. So all day, it was a whole weekend we shot that video. And so one day I said, Easy, why do you have 2 beepers? And he says, oh, one's for my office and one's for, everybody else, my friends, family, and whatever. So he was never calling the office back, ever. So I thought that was strange. And I said, well, what if don't they need something? I mean, what if he was like, well, I'm busy. I said, well, it could be about money and whatever. It'll just have to wait. But he was calling everybody else back. I thought that was horrible. I went home. I wrote out a proposal. It wasn't even on a typewriter. We didn't have computers back then. I wrote a proposal and I wrote down, and at that time I was actually in college. I had started UCLA at 16. I was in college and I said, I told him, I wrote down all these things that I could be. I could be his assistant. I could be all of these things. Nothing, a tour manager. I've never toured. I've never done any of these things. I got the proposal to him the next day. He looked at it and he laughed at me because I also attached it with a headshot because I used to act as a child. And so he was like, laughing at me. I was embarrassed. He says, no, just all this stuff. Like, you're going to be my accountant. You're going to be my tour manager. Like, you've never done any of these things, but it didn't seem that hard to me. Right. So he said, no. And he says, well, give me a minute. We'll think about it. So he called me on Wednesday. I had totally forgot about it. I was so embarrassed. And then from that day forward, he called me. He says, meet me at the office, which I did. And he told Jerry Heller prior to that. Jerry Heller pretty much cussed him out, slammed the door, looked at me and said, oh, I guess you work for Ruthless, and slammed the door in my face. I was horrified. And from that day forward, I was Eazy's executive assistant until the day he died.
Wow.
That was my start in the business with Compton, but not in the business. I started with Latifah and Shakim first, but we're going to keep this Compton and Los Angeles related. But I actually did start with Latifah, Queen Latifah, and Flavor Unit Management first, because they were young, they were new, they met me, and it was very expensive for them to fly back and forth. So I would do a lot of meetings and things for them, and I would work for them. And then at a time, I was working for both of them at the same time, which they would, Shakim and Eazy would kind of fight over me and my time, but it was a great time because I literally got paid by both, and they knew it. They knew it.
Yeah.
So
you were handling business. You were making things happen.
Absolutely.
Making the magic happen.
Yeah. So that was my start, and it's been gone ever since.
I love it. Thank you for that. Martha. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I feel like so honored to be the only one from the East Coast to be part of this conversation. Thank you. Yeah. Rosalind, SenYon, Yo-Yo, Charis.
Welcome.
And everyone behind the scenes who's made this happen.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I started my career similar to being an assistant. I was interning at different places while I was in college, and I got the opportunity to intern at Yo MTV Raps. And the funny thing is that I didn't have cable, so I had never seen the show. I was watching Video Music Box, which you should watch it now on Showtime. It's playing the documentary. And so I had no idea what I was going into, but I knew that I loved hip hop so much. And I actually, when I got to MTV, I realized that I knew Ed Lover from going clubbing. So I got my start there, and I easily like moved up from like intern. In 3 months, I became a PA. 3 months later, I was Ted Demi's assistant.
Wow.
And I did the same thing where I was like, accountant, getting him coffee, reading a script, booking a tour, like I was doing all those things. And so that's how I actually met Yo-Yo back in the early 90s when I was working on Who's the Man, which was a movie that Ted Demi directed. And he gave me a script and he was like, here, fill it up with all the rappers that you know. And so I started to give scenes to people. Nice. And Yo-Yo is in the movie. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, so that's how I got my start.
Wow, that's amazing. Love that. Okay. So basically, just in general, if the three of you can think about, like, can you give me like 2 or 3 women in particular in the industry that like may have supported you along the way, along your journey? Or maybe what type of advice they may have given you just for you to move through?
It's very interesting when I saw that question, and it was quite sad that through my journey, I actually had no women help me, pretty much. I'm gonna take that back. When you say help me, usually you would think like as a mentor or a journey or things like that. Latifah,
this basically helps support you.
Support
your vision.
Exactly, like a mentor, somebody that supports you. You can call and ask those questions. I didn't have that, but Latifah did open the door for me, but there wasn't any hand holding there. I was there to support them and to help them and bring ideas. But there was a girl named Amanda Smith at the beginning there. She was Latifah's assistant and road manager at the time. She is the one she was so selfless, Mandy, and she showed me the ropes in regards to, like road management and stuff like that. I was already in school. I was understanding the basics of business management and things like that, but just learning the industry, she like really helped me a lot. But the 3 mentors that I had in this business, unfortunately, and I don't know if it's a Los Angeles thing, and I think if I were in New York, I probably would have had more, but my 3 mentors were all men. And they were Virgil Roberts. He's an attorney here in Los Angeles. He's like my godfather. We grew up right next door to each other. And I think that's probably why I became such a great deal maker and negotiator. Like they call me the lawyer without the law degree.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard you call that before.
Yeah.
Call Charis, she'll know.
Or Harriet Tubman, because I kind of redo things on the underground and help people with their deals. Also, it was Shock Him Compare, which is Queen Latifah's partner and manager. He was very instrumental in making sure that I had everything that it took. I could always call him, and he was very helpful. And he helped me because he said him and Latifah, when they first started, they literally had no one. They guessed the right numbers on their first deal. They guessed things like, they just happened to like, oh my God, that was right. We did it kind of, he says, and I didn't have that. So I'm always going to make sure that you have the things that I didn't have, because you're absolutely brilliant. And then lastly, of course, was Eazy-E. Eric Wright. He is the one that had me, told me to start my own management company. He is the one that pushed me all the way through. He's the one that paid me, even regardless if I was working here or there, because he still needed me. He is the one that really guided me as a woman through this business and gave me things and information of how to keep myself as a lady, as a business person, and to stay respected. And his advice was, don't date any guys in the business, which I didn't. And then you'll go far. And I found that really helped me a lot, because he says, once they don't deal with you, then that's it. But it's kind of sad. There's not that many women, maybe I'm tripping, executives here in Los Angeles, like it is on the East Coast. And the ones that maybe are, they're, like the CEOs, and, they're not on that mid-range level where they're, helping young managers. Right. And I was one that I asked a lot of questions. I read a lot of things, and I was really kind of taught like looking from the outside in, and then we were a very small independent label. So therefore we were platinum already with 4 of us in the office.
Wow.
So
you're making some things happen over there.
yeah, but there was no women, and that was a question that was hard for me to answer. I didn't have any women that actually helped and guided me through this business.
Right. Yeah.
How about you, Yo-Yo? But did you have women in particular?
Shari, I understand exactly what you said, what you're saying. It was really hard to be a woman and push through on this West Coast. However, a lot of my female support came from the East Coast, kind of, sorta. You know, first of all, I have to give it up to Mama Mia with the spicy meatballs. My mother, Mama don't take no mess. Being it was all girls, shit was always missing, from panties to makeup. If it was gone, she was bitching. She wants to know who's been in the house. I said, no company. Yeah, my mama, Mama Mia. She would be mad at her friends. If they didn't attend any of my shows. My mother was just my biggest supporter, just having that mom just to support you, just to believe in you. My mom would, you know, I am a product of my mom. Right. She would help me with the young girls. I mean, I started out with drill teams, so creating drill teams. My mom would help me with drill teams, which later became the IBWC. My mom would later go on to work in the community to do other works with other young talent, you know, because that's what she did naturally. So shout out to Mama Mia with the spicy meatballs, my mother, my biggest inspiration, my biggest supporter. And that gave me my confidence to move forward, because once my mom supported me, I felt like the world would support me. Secondly, it was walking into Atlantic Records. Shout out to Ice Cube for taking me to meet Miss Sylvia Rohn. Never in a million years would I had imagined walking into a record label. Well, I was fresh out of high school anyway, and meet Miss Sylvia Rohn, Black woman, beautiful, powerful, and easy to talk to. So shout out to Miss Sylvia Rohn. How did she help me in my industry? I mean, in my life, she signed me and she believed in me, and
that's all you need sometimes.
Yeah, we continued this relationship. Lastly, Congresswoman Waters. I mean, in 1994, when they were getting ready to censor hip hop, and hip hop wasn't even showing love to female MCs, for her to come to me and ask me to speak for hip hop. I had just had my first daughter. I was a new mom. I was a young child. I was young to hip hop, but she believed in me, and just that alone gave me the confidence to be who I am today.
Right.
And I've done so many amazing things because of these women.
Yeah, there's something magical about that when people believe in you.
Yeah.
Know, because sometimes you don't see in yourself what other people see in you. So
yeah,
it kind of is like a little reminder, you know. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Martha, do you have any, you know, like maybe name a couple of women that may have supported you throughout your journey?
Yes. Well, you know, I wish my mom understood me back then. She was like, what are you doing? Like, you know, she was used to working in a factory and having a stable job. And, you know, for her to have a daughter that was freelancing and going into the entertainment industry was like, this is not going to help you, you know, buy a house, get married. And so I never had that. And because I'm a first generation Colombian American, I didn't have family members with me. So I didn't have cousins, I didn't have uncles, aunties. So pretty much hip hop became my family tribe. And so some of the people that helped me along the way were my coworkers, like Penny Mack, who was a female producer at MTV, and Amanda Shear Demi, who was Ted Demi's wife. Now, you know, they worked with me, and so they had my best interest, but we never really like, you know, hung out like all the time. And, you know, we weren't buddies, but they were there to help me make decisions when it came to business opportunities and jobs, and even personal. Like I remember having issues with my baby daddy and Amanda Shear. She was like, no, do not accept that. You need to, and so I didn't have a sister. I didn't have a mom that I could go to. So my friends in the industry were my guides, and I happened to become friends with Dream Hampton and Thembisam Shaka and Beverly Bond and Wendy Day and all these women who were doing their own thing and were, inspiring me to do more and more. And outside of my peers, my contemporaries, I would say people like Iris Morales, who she's the director of Palante Siempre Palante, which is a documentary about the Young Lords. When I met her, I was like, oh my God, first of all, I didn't know they were Latino activists because I was so out of it. I didn't know my history. She was like, girl, there were the Black Panthers and there was the Young Lords, like she really helped me understand my place in society, the roles of Latinos in America, and all the activism, and she really was the first one to tell me Latinos and Blacks were together in creating hip hop, and even some white people were part of the development of hip hop. People like Irma McLaurin, who an amazing program officer at a foundation, who was like, girl, you don't know how to write grants? I'm going to help you. I'm going to show you, how to do this. So along the way, I've met amazing people who have cultivated me and who saw the potential and said, okay, I'm going to help her out because I know that she means well, but she doesn't have the education or, the confidence.
Sure.
That's mainly what I lacked, was the confidence to really step up and speak out. And then after I did that, I couldn't stop talking.
Right. With confidence, there's a lot of things that you can do. You attract it, and when you're confident about things, it makes it
right.
I want to make one note because I thought you meant within the business, but my grandmother and my mother were very great staples, and especially my grandmother. I could do no wrong. I could fail, I could succeed, I could have a dime, I could have a million. Right. She would always tell me that she was proud of me and always checked in with me and just everything that I did. So she, rest in peace, she just passed in January of 2020. So but in regards to the business, no, unfortunately I didn't. And I wanted some, I tell you that.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go on to my next question. Yo-Yo, I'll start with you. So how has Compton specifically impacted your work or your art of rap and what you share with us as we know you as an artist?
Yeah, well, I'm a California cutie. And I always say that because, even coming up in this industry, I always thought that it was so strange that they would center us into being just a specific place. So when I say this, when people used to ask me coming up, Yo-Yo, where are you from? I would say, I'm California. I'm from California. Why? Because growing up in hip hop in the early 89, I started in 89. So in 89, fresh out of thing, I never wanted to really block myself in. Right. But for me, I was born in Linwood. I grew up in off of Willow Street, and we moved to Carson, and then we moved I moved a little bit everywhere with my mom, but then we moved to South Central where I got my start.
Right.
I think the influence of Compton, I think because I could understand who Compton is and who Compton was, because I am Compton, but I'm California, and I am everywhere I go. I mean, the journey is me, right? To be totally honest, I am the journey, and I'm not just one place, but because I am bred and rooted in California, and I understand the struggles that we have been through and what we go through, not just as artists, but as people. I've watched my mother, anybody change my tire, I've watched you change my tire. Anybody who have done any work in my house, I've watched you work in my house. So I am a watcher, I'm a looker, I'm an observer. So for me,
to generalize. I think what Compton did is, for me, is what it's done. It inspired me because I am Compton. Right. It inspired me to be the woman that I am today. The music, I mean, the fact that they didn't allow us to be great, that it was already a sabotage on our lives. Right. That you know, there was a system designed for failure.
That's true.
You know, that made me appreciate young men, first of all, whose fathers were taken from their home, given life sentences for petty crimes, for a system that was bringing drugs, gangs, crimes, and then had a corrupt system invade their homes and invade their lives. To see young men make it, I mean, you know, inspired me to understand who I am.
Right.
To understand that I'm no better than nobody else. It gave me that kind of soul power. And I didn't even realize that until I stepped outside of Los Angeles. When you're inside the picture, you can't see what you look like. It's when you look at the picture that you say, oh, I feel better than I look. Oh, I'm fatter than I feel or whatever. That's when I
know what you mean.
At the pictures. But once I stepped outside of California, period, I didn't realize the racism that was here. I never had a white teacher. I never was called a nigga. I never had all of that. But to understand the underlining to all of that, so to see success come out of Compton, out of Los Angeles, South Central, Inglewood, Watts, you name it. That's all me.
Right.
That's all my mama.
I love that.
That's all my grandmama. You know, yeah, I'm there for it.
It's all the experiences and the whole journey in itself.
Yeah, and you know, and I used to hate that because they used to segregate us. I'm like, listen, aren't we blood and Crippin' enough? Why? Who cares where I'm from? I'm from California. I'm a California cutie. Who cares where I'm from? I'm a California cutie, and it bothered.
I know that's right.
Yeah,
it bothered me. It bothered me.
Yeah, I like that answer. So Charis, so what do you think? And what is your feedback on that?
And
how's Compton specifically impacted your work, or maybe the way that you operate in business, or, you know?
Oh, let me tell you something. First of all, from the introduction from Gaston Green, who was an ex-boyfriend of mine. He's from Compton. He was a football player. We went to college together. We went to UCLA together. When he first asked me, had I heard that, he's the one that introduced me to the NWA Eazy-E tape. He put in the cassette tape. And when I listened to it, my mouth was hanging to the ground, and I asked him, was it legal? I said, is this legal? You know, I was dead serious too. And he was like, what? I was like, so it was in regards to fuck the police and just all the driving beats, but it was awesome. It was like, oh my God, what is this, right? So from there, I was blown away. Just the rawness, the politicized message that it had. And then to be able to work with the kings, and I'm talking about kings. I managed King T for many years. I worked with Dr. Dre and executive produced projects with him for many years. I worked with Eazy for many, many years. And to be able to sit with these guys, you have no idea, to be able to be fortunate enough to sit with Dr. Dre for years and years and years, sometimes 18 hours a day in the studio, that made me one of the most, I think, prolific and best ears in this business. I don't care what nobody say. Even Dr. Dre says I have one of the most dynamic ears ever. I can work at SSL board like I'm the engineer based upon that Compton genius. I'm saying genius, like the stuff that has changed me, like the music, the people that like, I mean, it's the game. I mean, I work with the game. I worked on all his albums under Interscope. I worked with Eazy. I worked with, I publish, I do all of these things, and these men and this music that made such an impact on hip hop, that made such an impact on the billboards that I was a part of. And when you see these, like, I don't have them here because they're just all, I have too many of them, but like I have platinum plaques that I worked on. They weren't given to me. I worked on those day in and day out. It honed my skills. It also, because we were an independent label that was platinum with no radio play. We hustled. I learned all of the aspects of the business. It made me a great negotiator. I was able to learn from Jerry Heller, who was one of the shrewdest, but say no more, he was one of the smartest, shrewdest, and he helped me and showed me how to negotiate these deals and how to, based upon the talent that you had, to basically the things that I've done in this business, I know a lot of Black women have not done, because I have confidentiality agreements based upon these deals that I have structured. And they come from this Compton camp. They come from this Compton production team of folks and in different eras that it's been. So for me, it made me a better A&R. It also made me quick on my feet because it was real hood and real serious at times. You know what I mean? We've had kidnappings, jackings, lay downs. It's been, you know, hip hop was, you know, during that era and in the 90s, you know, I would have $150,000 cash strapped on me, and I have you know, security with me. It made me more aware. It made me more, but all in a good way, not in a bad way. It made me all in a good way.
Made you aware.
And I'm so looking forward. Like, people, there's so much talent. When I looked at it, I was like, that's like, you got MC8, you got the Chill, you got like, it's so many Compton people that are like, I was like, Compton is almost killing LA. I think they are. They have more, Compton actually put LA on the map. Let's be clear.
There are a lot of amazing artists that came out of Compton. Continue to come out of Compton.
Continue. And is Roddy Ricch from Compton, or is he from LA? Is he from Compton, Roddy Ricch? Does anybody know?
He's from California.
Oh, he's from LA. I don't know if he's from Compton, but I love him, and Kendrick and all the rest of the new.
Denise says he's from Compton. Denise just confirmed.
I love him. Tell him, anybody knows Roddy Ricch, I love him.
Yeah.
You know what it is that I like about him too, is that he's, you know, of course, music has changed, and, you know, the young kids do, and they have their whole little movements and things, but he's a real hit maker. And if he ever needs any help, you tell him to holler at me.
I will.
No, I'm dead serious. Even if it's just to check the checker, because I want to make sure he wins.
Okay. I love that. Love that. Martha Diaz. So, you know, as an educator, you know, how is Compton?
Can I just respond real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Compton, for real, has something to say, still have something to say, right? Like, it is, I remember first, you know, hearing some of the music and saying, whoa, this is hardcore. This isn't East Coast shit. They were laying it down and really being vocal and unapologetically Black. And it was really powerful for someone like me, an immigrant, to hear that, because I was like, yeah, we need to stand up for our rights. Now, of course, we have our Charis ones and Public Enemy, but it was a different style. It was a different style, and it really made an impression on me. And so did the women, you know, from Medusa to, of course, Yoyo, and, you know, Ava, and JJ Fad. When I heard JJ Supersonic, I was like, what? Oh, it was just a different beat, different style. And so much props and love to Compton.
That's cool.
And all the women in hip hop in California.
Okay, so specifically, Martha, specifically for you, I want to ask you, like, from your perspective as a hip hop scholar, you know, being from the East Coast, you know, how would you describe Compton's impact on the emergence of hip hop?
Well, like I just said, you know, it was different. It was a different sound, style, and then also it was interesting because, you know, hearing "You Can't Play With My Yo-Yo," we you know, saw the similarities. We saw that, you know, Queen Latifah is like, who you calling a bitch, you know, and saying it her way. And here comes Yo-Yo, you can't play with my yo-yo. And it was just like, yeah, women are speaking up in the East Coast and the West Coast. And it really, I think, changed changed how women were being perceived, especially during that time. We start to see the whole video vixen come up, you know, and be the main attraction in music videos. I remember Sister Soldier came in and came out. Like, what happened to her?
Yeah.
Like, because she spoke up so ferociously, like it was too much for the industry.
Mhm.
But somehow, you know, Yo-Yo remained there, and
She
she
was getting
kept up.
threatened.
She was, yeah, look at that. You know, and so for hip hop feminism, I think that played a big role, seeing the East Coast, West Coast connection, and Compton and the women of hip hop in California to, you know, to have their voices and their music, you know, and it varied so much, you know, like you have your Mystic up in the Bay Area, and then, you know, you
Right.
have Medusa is so powerful. She's so
Yeah, she is.
multi-talented. She could sing, she could,
I
you
love
know,
Medusa.
she could do it all, play instruments. I mean, and then,
Yeah.
you know, and then I would say that what really was a turning point was when I learned about what Yo-Yo was doing with the school. And then I, you know, because at that point I was already documenting how hip hop is being used in the classroom. And we know that California has been a trailblazer in this education space with hip hop and education, but seeing Yo-Yo, she was probably the first artist, female artist that I know of that really used hip hop in the education field, right? I don't know anyone
That's right.
before.
No, that's right. I was there when Kofi Lomote was talking about cultural competency.
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah, so I
That's
think
great.
there are many milestones that for women in hip hop that we have to thank, you know, California, specifically Compton, for, you know, our development.
Right. Well, the one thing that I did want to add is that I know that with all the resources and the journey that you've had so far, Martha, I know that you're really you're working on like a timeline for women in hip hop, right?
Oh,
so
yes.
that way we can really just grasp everything. So I mean, I've you know been a part of that process too, and there's some things that I had no idea that was happening. So
yeah,
I want to bring that up and let folks know that, you know, MD's got some really good stuff cooking, and so we'll be educated and learn about hip hop and have people to be able to add to what's going on.
Yes, I'll talk about that initiative later on because, you know, it is important for us to unite, and tell our stories, to archive our history, and so that is that's now. This is not later. We got to start doing it now. And
yes, because we are always left out of the history books.
Of what? That's right.
Yeah.
Shawnee.
So, okay, so I'm going to go on to my next question, Yo-Yo. So based on your experience and your knowledge, why does it seem there were so few women at the forefront of hip hop when it just, you know, when you originally started, like in the beginnings, especially in the West Coast and LA? Why do you think there were so few women at the forefront?
Because they hate on us. No, I'm just joking. They hate on us. No, you know what? It's like a football. Hip hop was so male dominated. I think, you know, when we came out, it's almost like a football. You think of it as a football game. You know, nobody wanted to put the women in. If a woman was to go on a football field and say, hey, listen, I want to play football. Men to say, listen, I don't want to play football with her. This is a league. This is a professional league. This is not this kind of league. That's how they felt with women in music. And so it became this thing that you had to prove yourself. I mean, so women was, I mean, when MC Lyte came out, MC Lyte was sounding like a dude. You know, we were dressing like dudes. We were acting, you know, the whole thing. They wouldn't accept us being, you know, they wouldn't accept my 28 size jeans and that little cute waist and pretty in the face and green eyes.
The California cutie.
Yeah, that California cutie. They put overalls on me. You know, they put a hat on my head. They put a bandana around my head. You know, they couldn't accept me for just being a woman, but it was okay. And it was okay because I felt like at that time, it was okay for me because I felt like I was breaking into an industry and I had to earn that respect.
Right.
I felt like people weren't really going to take me serious until they knew I was serious. And so that became like my go-to. I needed to prove myself. Battling with Tupac, going on the road. You know, Q told me the same thing. No fucking on the road. Anybody fucks getting kicked off the road. Oh, I told all my girls.
Yeah.
And I did it. And we stood by it. We were solid. You know, there was instructions. Yeah, there was a code of ethics. We rode with it. You know, so I think that's why, even when I got pregnant, it was, you know, one of the times that I just was like, oh, I can't tell anybody. Why? I felt like I was letting them down, that they let a girl in and now I'm pregnant. Now we got to go to the label. We got to tell the label she's pregnant. Now all of the money they put into me, I don't know if they got to put it on hold, because it just seemed like a woman wasn't supposed to be here. So even getting pregnant, talking about relationships, you know, they used to call, what do they used to call them? They used to call it, they used to get like points for screwing on the road.
Oh, I don't know.
A woman couldn't get it. You know, a woman couldn't even have a friend. You couldn't even have a guy take you to the elevator, to the escalator. But because I was so loyal to hip hop, not necessarily to anything else. I mean, I'm loyal to the people who brought me in. I would never bite the hand that fed me. But more than that, I wanted success. I wanted to do music. Right. And so I think that's why you don't see a lot of women. I mean, you know, those who come in, those who haven't got their shine, you know, to get my shine, guess what I had to do? I had to take who I am and elevate that. I had to do more than just music. I had to come in there. I had to go back to school. First of all, I had to quit hip hop. I had to say, fuck you too, because they were treating me, and the labels was only going to work with men. You can only come in as the hanger on. As you know, no matter what a woman brought no matter what the woman brought to the crowd, brought to the industry, brought to that organization, brought to that company production, it never mattered to them. You had to do something else. So I left, came back, I had to reconsider, what am I doing? Okay, so I had to do more. And that's where the love for hip hop came. You know, hip hop started on the East Coast. They had more respect for just my grind. And, you know, LA was just, you know, we had so many gangs. They was calling us gang bangers. It was hard for them to bring women on because you had to get rid of that stigma of being affiliated with a gang and
like proving yourself.
Yeah, you had to prove yourself. The people who invited me in was the East Coast. They opened up the door. They put me on that reality show, VH1. You know, Cube working with Public Enemy kind of softened the soil a little bit. It gave them a little bit like, oh, okay. And, you know, me going out and meeting and greeting and showing my face and having to let people know, like, oh yeah, I'm working with the crew, the women, the young girls, creating the Yo-Yo School of Hip Hop really helped me, you know, so it didn't just happen because I was a rapper.
Right.
If I just wanted to do rap, I would have, let me tell you, buried and forgotten.
So you figured out a way to be able to reinvent yourself and with the music and having the school and giving back to the community.
I realized that I had to go in and I had to dig deeper. Right. You know, I had to dig deeper because music was so surface when we started. It was so surface when we started. There was no deeper. And you know, even when I would speak to publicists and journalists, they would say, you know, are all women gay? You know, it was so surface. They were asking you blunt questions like that. Like,
where'd that come from?
Yeah, and I would say like, no. So then it became, I had so many different kinds of ways I wanted to represent myself because in it, and then I being a girl from just California only, you know, only traveling up north, not into Texas, you know, where my father's from. I never really got a chance to even understand who I was as a woman, as a person, and to travel and to see how big hip hop was. I was 17. I never knew how big hip hop was. I never knew what living rooms we were playing in. I
Right.
never knew the impact that it would have on a community. I never knew none of that. And once you start digging a little deeper,
Yes.
you cannot be nothing.
The outreach.
You can only be more than hip hop. You
Right.
cannot just be hip hop if you dig deeper. To only be hip hop is surface and you will never go nowhere.
Mm. Wow, that's profound. Thank you for that. Shari, so, you've shared a little bit of why you thought that women weren't at the forefront of hip hop in LA. And
I'm just going to piggyback on what Yo-Yo said. It's definitely how in Los Angeles and, from the 80s all the way even till now, the type of music that we do that has become worldwide is street music, street poets, okay, I'm going to call it. And the element that kind of comes with that as well is, and I'm going to speak on both ends as an artist and as an executive. I don't know too many people and too many women that probably would have sustained the 8 years that I did with that crew, in regards to me being like the only girl, 19 dudes, me and 19 dudes on the road, me having to really like hold my own, you know what I mean? Even though you pay me, I'm the boss, right, type of thing. It takes like I'm a very alpha female, so it helps. And I think because of the type of music that has been the forefront of Los Angeles for decades, I think that kind of keeps it kind of away. And like there's executives, but they're, like the Sylvias, they're over here. There's I don't know too many me's here. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because of that. Like I said, I think if I were in New York and New Jersey, it would have been totally different. I would have had all of these beautiful sisters to, that you had and whatever. And like someone like Yo-Yo, she was brought in by one of the biggest talents, you know what I'm saying? And the biggest writers and hip hop dude, you know what I mean? In Los Angeles. Brandy Kane, who is a Los Angeles rapper, she's on the chat here. I think I saw she was posing, we were going back and forth in the thing today. She was like, why isn't it that Los Angeles does not have any, female rappers or whatever, you know what I mean? Like if you're not taking off your clothes, and even we don't have those, you know what I mean? We don't have the, the Cardis and the whatever, because here it's almost as if it's within crews and productions, like, you know what I mean? Crews and whatever. And then the guys, if they're not, I don't know too many guys that are like really, except for Cube that put, and then when Yo-Yo got her opening, it wasn't like Cube carried her. As soon as she got that opening, she developed the IBF, your crew, the whole crew, the IBF, what I'm trying to say, y'all. And literally, and she was a LA cutie, beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Green-eyed and popping and confident, but yet still had that femininity to her, even though they was trying to, the 90s was about big jeans and, and all of that stuff and being like a dude and all of that stuff. And she's right. I don't think that it wasn't like Yo-Yo put out all these albums and was multi-platinum, but she's a household name. She is our Los Angeles darling. Like whenever it's like, it's Yo-Yo, you know what I mean? It's Yo-Yo all the way around. We're proud of her, what she's done. She's worldwide name. But I really think that it's based upon, and especially within hip hop, that it's not something that most women in Los Angeles, and if they did, they didn't last long. Either they dated and got, what they say, hold out the game, or they just, couldn't hang and deal with it. So I enjoyed it because the music was so great. All the guys, my personality just clicks with them because I'm like the auntie, they all get afraid. I'm able to, I like dealing with guys because I can curse them out and they still, you know what I mean? They love it, you know what I mean?
Sorry, it's okay.
And when I say curse out, I curse them out like, what are you doing? You messing up. I'm like
That's
a mom,
so
like an auntie, you know what I'm saying? And with women, I think with me, and no, that's not true. With women, I'm the same way, but they interpret it differently.
Yeah.
And so therefore, for me,
they can't handle the truth. They can't handle the truth. The truth
and then
is
like, we're not
necessary.
friends, we're not peers, because I'm not friends or peers with any of my clients. You guys are my clients. I'm going to tell you what's going on because you make money.
Separate.
I need to make money. If you're not making any money, I'm wasting my time. So bottom line,
pretty much,
you know what I mean? But now I mentor girls, and people call me, inbox me. I love it. I'm a teacher. I was a teacher by trade. I taught at Inglewood High School. I taught at Warren Lane. I love, being able to teach and do things, even with, I had a tenure at ASCAP as well. I was a senior urban director of ASCAP, and that alone, I was able to really help our community because they have so much money out there and they didn't even know about it. You know what I mean? And that alone, I know that I Harriet Tubman my folks to make sure they got all their tens of thousands and thousands. But I think that's probably Los Angeles. It's kind of like it's a cultural thing within hip hop. It's different. It's a boys club for real. And if you're gonna be in it, they want you to be self-sufficient, write your own stuff, be whatever. You know what I mean? It's really, and I couldn't really answer. And I said, now it seems like they just want girls that, are talking about their vaginas and big booties and stripping and, and things like that. I didn't know what to, and Brandy is on the things because like Brandy Kane, dope MC from Los Angeles, from the Crenshaw district. Medusa is one of my favorite artists,
the goddess.
Period. I don't care what anybody says. She is so underrated and so dope. But you talk about these people that are so talented, like Brandy Kane and Medusa, that don't get, you know what I mean? And when I say, Medusa travels around the world, don't get me.
She does. They know her all over the world.
But everybody should know about these talents. And I still think that it comes back to that, what exactly that Yo-Yo said. It's like the kind of like the boys club and whatever. And then
and you have to find a way if California women want to make it. If California women, especially those that come from the urban community, Compton, Watts, Los Angeles, South Central Los Angeles to be specific, you have to understand that they don't respect you until you show them what to respect. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. And I always say this because, to the death of me, I died already. This is the reincarnation of Yo-Yo. I could have stayed dead in music, in community, in Compton, in South Central. I could have stayed dead to women who I fight for education, for the street, for the politics of my community. I could have stayed dead because to live in this bullshit, you have to be strong, you have to go deep, and you have to mean it. Otherwise, you're just surface. And surface shit don't last, especially in hip hop.
You said something key. Sometimes you might have to change your location. Because a lot of times when you go to other places, and especially I notice like when, like artists and producers and different people, they're from Los Angeles and they've got they're great. And they go to other places, they are like heaven. They're like, oh my God, you guys are just well respected. They want to work with you. You tight, you write, you whatever. So that was key too. When you said that, you got an East Coast opening, those women over there was like, oh, like, you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to change it because if it's not working or happening here, or there's no camp that's willing to say, here, I'm going to sign you and you be down with us, that's super popping, then you got to get up out of here because your talents are yours.
And you know what? LA lacks friendships.
Boom.
LA lacks friendships. There are a lot of associates, but there are not a lot of friends. I didn't have a lot of friends in this industry. When I came into this industry, I didn't have a lot of friends in LA. And that, and when people would come to me, they weren't my friends. And I had to learn that quickly because I was what my sister called me a kiss ass or a sucker for love. I became that because I felt like I became this big star overnight. I became this humongous star overnight. And then it was almost like I needed to give something back. And part of that give back got me into a lot of heartache and got me in a lot of situations. Like the fact that you and I have never really kissed in hip hop, you know, that's something that should happen the way, you know, in hearing you here. I'm so excited to see you on here tonight. Our first time really sitting down on a chat. And look at your history. Look who you are. Look what you've done. You have paved a way. And this is our first time even crossing paths on a way where we're communicating on this level. Now we've communicated, you're my sister in my heart. You know that already, right?
Sure.
But this is what it is. And those who I have burnt me so bad in Los Angeles that I'm just better dealing with this business and keeping it pushing. And that's why people say it's so, but I'm just, I only say
even
that.
though we haven't, I've been behind the scenes kind of working slightly on your project, and you don't even know that.
But can I tell you something? I've always loved you. That's just the relationships of Los Angeles and Compton, but more of
i.e. Battle Cat and Trey.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to do more of it.
Absolutely.
You know, after this, we should find a way to connect even more. Sis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I need that Virgo. I need that particular woman in my life. Give me that Virgo. I take her every time.
Absolutely. You can't go wrong with that Virgo. That's right.
Virgo. Speaking of signs, Leo, Martha.
Okay, here I go.
Okay,
oh, Leo, Martha, you already know.
You know, well, you know, LA, I mean, geographically, it has so much distance, right? That I think that also plays a role in how people develop relationships. In New York, we're like right on top of each other. Like we have to like communicate, you know, so we'll bump into people in the streets and parties more often, I would say, than in LA. But I would say also LA got really scary. Like music from California was scary, you know. NWA came out strong, and when they had that "A Bitch Is a Bitch" and then all the Chronic videos, I didn't want to get her. And then Dre beating up D Barnes. It's like, be careful in LA, be careful with California. And I think that played a role, but that has been turning around quite a bit, because it wasn't California was Hollywood, but it was, you know, it was a white Hollywood. And now Hollywood is so Black and Latino, and we're kind of, everybody's going to California now to get put on. Even artists from Chicago and Atlanta, they're going to LA because they do want to build with Dre and Kendrick and Yo-Yo, and, you know, so I think it's we're going in cycles. Right. And until we figure out like our value, and our value is in the women that we have right here that have been behind the scenes, have been, you know, taking care of the children, you know, taking care of the community. And I think that's the lesson. And then the music, I mean, it's there. We just need more platforms like this to showcase it.
Very good. Do I have time for one last question, Rosalind?
I think she just.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. So now I'm gonna stay with you, Martha, because this is specific. I want to know, were there any barriers or issues that were specific to West Coast that maybe wasn't like as widespread on the East Coast, since you visited both places?
I mean, it's the same barriers. It's just different style, right? I don't know if I could share really briefly this initiative real quick. It'll be really fast, but pretty much I got fed up with the music videos and the portrayal of women in hip hop as video vixens only. And, you know, we're feminists, so we can be sexy one day, we could be tomboyish another day, we want to do it all, right? And so I wanted to change the narrative, take back that narrative of how women in hip hop are supposed to act and supposed to be. So I created this initiative called Fresh, Bold, and So Deaf. And it's really honoring and celebrating the women in hip hop. And since 2008, when I declared the Year of the Hip Hop Woman, you know, we've been putting up programs and just, you know, bringing in the young girls to come and have conversations with us, you know, building not only relationships, but long-term relationships or mentorship, where we're starting to develop new artists. Here
Right.
you have like 3 generations right here in this picture alone.
Oh.
Some of the people that I work with, shout out to Kashima.
Kashima.
Yes. Our advisory board, of course, we can't do this without honoring the pioneers like Sharrock and Debbie D, you know, so many of them. Yes, that we can't move forward without bringing them with us, and they're doing their thing anyway. We just got to learn from them, continue learning from them. And then, you know, we just been building this coalition of women in hip hop organizations that are doing the work. You know, we started a micro grant to give women money so that they can complete projects. You'd be surprised what $1,000 could do. You know, we gave 5 women $1,000. It was only $5,000 grant, and they've reached over 50,000 women and children and families. And so, you know, you invest in women, you invest in a village.
That's right.
And so we've been continuing the work, documenting, you know, you mentioned the timeline, we're documenting the history. We teamed up with the Universal Hip Hop Museum so that we can create a special collection for women in hip hop. And, you know, we do these trivia, monthly social posts, and we have these conversations, and that's really it. This is the first picture with all of us together. It's so old now, but you can see, you know, from Lin Q to Jazzy Joyce to Rosa Clemente, Cutting Candy. I mean, this was our first convening. And since then it's grown tremendously. And next year, you know, we're planning to start our own award ceremony to celebrate our women in hip hop. So
that's beautiful.
Yep. Nice. More to come. But of course, you know, all of this wouldn't be possible without, you know, women like Yo-Yo and Charis that we want to honor, that we want to celebrate and say, we see you and we're with you 100%.
That's right.
It's Shari, no S.
Shari.
Oh, Shari. Okay.
Shari.
Yes, it's French, but I just say Shari.
Okay.
Shari.
Shari.
You know, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Yo-Yo.
I just wanted to say the hip hop community just didn't give women the same respect. JJ Fad, who's from Rialto in Los Angeles, had a local hit, Supersonic, before Eazy-E signed with Atlantic Records, and Eazy got the distribution deal. But they really never talked about that. They gave them the money. They put the money behind them, and Supersonic, my girls, JJ Fad, I love them so much. And, you know, there are a lot of women from the West Coast that have been doing it. And I have failed to recognize their name. But it is, I represent them because I keep it going. And what I give to hip hop never dies, because I am a soul woman. I'm Black pride. I am, that's why I said I had to stop.
Yeah,
I had to stop giving myself boundaries. I had to step outside. I'm so Compton, you wouldn't believe it, you know, and to see so many deaths in hip hop in Los Angeles because of this boundary thing that has been taking place, it hurts my heart. I mean, you know, PSD has nothing on me. I have grieved so many deaths in Los Angeles alone to not want to put a boundary on anything. When I say I am universal, when I say I'm cosmopolitan, I mean that, not just for me. When I say I'm universal, I mean that, because I have been gifted a gift that not many people have been able to receive.
Right.
And it's not because I'm special. It's not because I'm a great rapper. People always say, well, when are you putting out a new album? Yo-Yo don't have bars. I said, listen, sending kids to college is a bar. Going in my
That's right.
fighting for my
marking your journey.
is a bar. The fact that I can keep myself elevated to a position that the people listen to me is all I need to survive. It's all I need to survive. The fact that I can continually walk into a community, any community, and get the attention of young football players who are illiterate and need help turning sentences into paragraphs and paragraphs into essays. As long as Love and Hip Hop put me on there, and I don't know nobody's business, but the fact that the kids can look at that show and recognize me when I come into their school gives me a platform that I can speak from. And I've learned that throughout my 33 years in this industry. So I'm not trying to be a great rapper anymore.
Right.
I'm not trying to be the best of the best. I am trying to keep my brand alive so that my community can survive. And that's Compton, Inglewood, Watts, South Central, Long Beach. And now they done took us way out to the IE and to the all these and Palmdale. So I mean, I'm stretching.
Yeah,
I'm
you're doing an
stretching
amazing
myself.
job.
I'm stretching myself. So I am just trying to be who I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to
love it.
You doing it, boo.
Yay. And that's what we're supposed to do, because
Yes.
once you've done it for so long, you realize that it's not about you anymore. You realize it. It makes you respect your mama more. It makes you respect those who come before you more. The fact Curtis Blow, when he calls me, I understand who he is. Now more than ever, I've always loved him. But the fact that he can continuously allow his light to shine, find ways to make his light shine, means so much to me because I'm right behind you.
Right.
So I think that's beautiful. Hip hop on the West Coast. I think it's great for hip hop on the East Coast. And for those who are looking at us saying, hey, what's next?
Right. What's next?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Okay, so as we go into the Q&A, are there any questions that the three of you have for each other?
Shari, I'd like to know, when are we having lunch so that we can link up? I mean, for you to be such a staple in Los Angeles and all the history,
yes,
I would be honored to sit down and have lunch with you, because I know I could add to whatever you have going on, and I'm pretty sure you can add to what I'm going on. And the fact that you had no women to speak on, I'd like to be a sister in your life. I'd like to be a friend first. You know, I'd like to be your friend outside of the industry so that we can get to know each other, so that you can know me for yourself.
I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I want some Mama Mia's meatballs, so it's on.
Listen,
you can come here. You can always come here. We can come here, cook. I can come there, whatever. I adore you. And yes, I would love to do a catch up. It's been a long time. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Maria, I mean, and
Martha.
And Martha, excuse me. And I was thinking of Martha Diaz. And Maria Davis. Martha.
Oh, Maria Davis.
I know. I was thinking of Maria Davis for some reason. I don't know.
I know.
It's okay. I had to do my little video a couple of times because I was saying Maria Davis as well. Go ahead.
I love you so much. I just want you to really consider the Yo-Yo School of Hip Hop. We are really doing some amazing things. And
I know you have. I bet the last time, because I moved to LA and then I moved back back and forth. And you were like, what? When are you gonna call me? I'm supposed to help you move and fix your place up. And I never took you up because I was going back.
No, listen, because we had kids and kids are a journey on its own.
Yep. But next time I'm in LA, let's also have a lunch. Let's all get together and
this is what makes us great. This is what makes us
unity.
And I'm available for any of you guys' schools, conference. I love mentoring children and kids. So
I'm on Love and Hip Hop. I'm on Love and Hip Hop. I need all y'all.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, what is your school? I know the last time I spoke to you, you had your school in Michigan, in Detroit, right?
Detroit. Well, now we're in 12 cities now. We're in
what?
Amazing. Yep, we're in 12 cities every year.
I love it. Okay, no, we have to do something
Yeah.
really.
We're in 12 cities every year, the Yo-Yo School of Hip Hop. I am on Cafe Mocha Radio. We just won our 3rd Gracie Award, me, Lonnie Love, and Angelique. We're on weekends, and we just got a show in Los Angeles, 1580 W. It's a talk radio with we're at talk radio with Tavis Smiley now. It used to be 1580 K-Day, but now it's talk radio with Tavis Smiley, WPLS, I think, something like that. But we have so many great relationships and resources that we can't forget what got us here. We can't be too big to forget what got us here. We have resources, we have relationships, we have people that want to help us. We have to continue to reach out to each other and be genuine,
yes,
and authentic with our purpose and with our mission. And we cannot get sidetracked about what it is. We come too far to act like dummies or to act like we don't know what's going on. Those who don't know, we don't hold them accountable. But if you know better, you should do better. And that's for who's ever out there trying to get that new cheddar. We know more than what we knew when we started. 33 years from now, I cannot go back to where I started from. I cannot. I know too much. And it's not to say, not to down anybody or to put anybody down, but it's to say, like, we have it. We have it. Hip hop is here to stay.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, cool. Well, Rosalind, did you want to take over?
Mike.
Yes, I want to say thank you, ladies, so much. This has been just amazing. And, I don't know if you're watching the comments, but I think everyone who's watching is feeling it too. There's just so much love here and so much possibility. And, I know we said this before we all went on, but I just want to repeat and say again that we hope you'll join us on this journey. Compton Arts Project is about so much more than just some exhibits and shows, and it's about illuminating Compton's impact on on the world, culturally and artistically. So we're just so happy that you guys are here, because this proves it. So we have some questions from the audience, and I know it's 6:26 and we end at 6:30, but everyone, please feel free to stick around. If you have to go, we understand that too. So the first question is from, and I think I'll just choose one person to answer each question just for the sake of time. But Annie Mai says, she says, Yo-Yo, what helped you deal with negative comments from people?
What helped me deal with negative comments from people was I had to get right with myself. Once I knew who I was, I knew what I was trying to do. It was my relationship with God, to be totally honest. I had to even stop negative comments from coming in. It was just a place in my life. I wouldn't allow it in. It was me just cleansing myself. Yeah. So I think what helped me deal with it was understanding that I can't go forward. It didn't bother me the way it did. When they knew better, they would do better. And I knew who I was. I was sure of myself. There was no skeletons in my closet. Nobody can call me out. I was lining myself up to greatness. And so that helped me.
Thank you. The next is a statement from Ka Kemet. Much respect to everyone here, and continued prayers and blessings of success in all that you do. This third question is from my sister, A. Kelly Pascal Hunter. She says, do you have an issue being referred to as a female rapper rather than just a rapper?
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it if it depends on the day. Because if someone comes to me and I'm feeling like I've taken over the world in this day, then I'm like a female rapper. But if I'm just feeling girly and cute, then I'll say, oh yeah, it depends on my mood. But I'm sure of who I am now. And that took a lot of work. It took a lot of, and it wasn't about music. It was about my relationship with God. It was me going back to school for education. It was the people, that word sacrifice, it was the sacrifice. And it was the solitude. It was me being, by myself for a minute. What do you call that? What do you call that when you're just by yourself?
Sanctuary, solid.
Sanctuary, yes. It was that sanctuary that made me realize that I can go watch a movie by myself. It is okay if everybody is not my friend. It allowed me to know that everybody is not going to like me, but not until I got to that place could I even appreciate the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Amen. Amen. This question, I think Martha Diaz would best answer. Why do you think female hip hop today is so heavily infused with physical and verbal sexual content? Our generation was lyrical. We wore baggy clothes and hats to the back. That's from Shine.
I think we could all answer that. But I mean, hip hop didn't invent this. Like, this is part of our culture in America. We're very sexualized. You know, you can look at the TV with the volume off and you can, see images that are very suggestive and, and even the cover of magazines. I mean, we've grown a lot in America. We have put new limitations as to how much ass we can see and how much, tits and ass we can see, but still we have a long ways to go. And I think in order to compete in this industry, right? Because there's the industry and then there's the community and the culture. If you want to compete in the industry, you have to do a little bit more. You have to get noticed, and Shari and Yo-Yo, please jump in, because you know this side of the industry more than I do, because I never wanted to go into the music industry. I kept it media and went straight into education. But it really is about the images that the commercialization of hip hop and the music industry is.
And I always tell people when they're asking me about like when people call me and say, oh, I have someone I want you to hear. And they say, oh, they don't curse or they this way. I'm like, I like cursing or I'm not offended by cursing. You know what I mean? Cursing is a part of our culture. I'm not offended by cursing. So to tell me they don't curse, I'm like, I don't know if I want to hear them because I like a little twang in my thing. I think part of it is people want something authentic. That's what people want. I don't care if you do talk about, I got an amp top of my amp and that amp with that, but I feel like it's you, and I feel like it's something that's coming from you and it's authentic. Who can't respect that? I think when we feel like it's coming from someone else and you're mimicking, and it seems like you're trying to create something that's not you, that it becomes an industry problem. Are we sick of, is it too much? Of course it is, but I'm not the judge of that. I mean, I'm still looking for the best. I'm about to hook up with Charis so we can find our next best, period.
Well, that's right. Now listen to this. I have a comment on that. Mine is a little deeper than that because it goes into the industry, and the industry, we know for us Black and brown folks, they like to perpetuate and to put the machine behind the most misogynistic, genocidal aspect of our music. And when I say that, just solely, I like a little twang in my thing too. However, I believe that they promote those things because, like you said, you can't say anything about a group or Jews or somebody gay, but you can kill 1,000 Black folks and the women can expose themselves and do the most and whatever. So it's a little deeper than that in regards to that. So then what happens is then everybody sees that the machine is pushing this type of music, when back in the day when it was about us and, you know, vinyl and what we determined, and we called into the radio station and told them what to play. I believe now that with the internet, I would hope that, because most of these people that are out, they don't have this major machine behind them. A lot of these people are independent. They're, you know, they're doing it on their own. They're making money off of streaming and all of that stuff. So now, young folks, it's time to be creative. You don't have to strip and spread eagle. You don't have to shoot your brother. You don't have to do all, be creative. Be freaking creative and do you, because if you put that out there and you're good, like you said, you're gonna, now it's the wave. Oh, now it's gonna be about, you know, conscious this, or, you know, Bitcoin rapper, whatever the case may be. You have to go on and make it your own and make it yourself. I think that people just mimic what the industry pushes, and that's by design. And yes, I come from gangster rap, but I freaking hate it because they selectively do this on purpose. And it's a deeper message and it's a deeper meaning behind it all. So that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This question is for you, Shari. It's from Marva Smith, who's a wonderful vocalist. She says, who are the new California, Compton, and South Los Angeles sister rappers that you think are next?
I don't know any of the next. The only ones that I know that are around are like, I mean, what girls are around? I don't know any new next girls from Los Angeles per se. And if I do, I probably don't know that they're from LA. You know what I mean? In regards to the girls, I know a lot, you know, like I said, I'm like a super Roddy Rich fan, super fan, just because he gets it and he knows how to create hit songs consistently. And he seems to be, from the little interviews that I've seen, like a little young, humble guy and really about his paper and all of that stuff. And I love it. I don't know who's the next. I want the world to see Medusa. That's who I want to see, because her music is legendary. It's timeless. I can hear a song that she did today or one that from 10 years ago, and it still is like, oh my God, like if I had to see anybody from LA that hasn't blown up, that totally deserves it, she's not new, but it would be Medusa. Like, I'm just, I don't know. I would introduce me to some, please. I want to know some of the young girls.
Her name is Blue. Her name is Blue. She's young. She works with the Fernando Pullum Center. Her name is Blue, BLU. I'm trying to think of some more. I was just trying to text my daughter. Like they hit me up all the time and tell me. But you know, the thing with just being young and talented, I think it's the California love that they're missing. Because, you know, for those who don't know, California is so segregated. I tell you that all the time. And if you didn't see this young man getting gunned down in Inglewood last night, California really needs to stop the segregation. Although we have to pinpoint certain things, to me, it's just so heart-wrenching to watch all of our Black men die. We need all of California to stand up. We have so many. It's a rainbow of success here. And I know this is about Compton, but to see this young man gunned down and to watch so many people die in LA, it is just like enough. You know, California is enough on its own. I'm you know, and I know that's just me, because gang violence here is just so strong. And I know I can't stop it, but I won't promote it.
Yeah. Well, I think you all have together answered this next question, but I'm just gonna acknowledge the asker. Roxanne Bender asks, I would like to ask, what do you queens think about the violence that's going on in hip hop today? Also, the investments of powerful record labels being connected to the violence in the private prison system built to destroy the music and the artist. I think you've answered that.
You know, it's deeper than we can see. I'm gonna make this short and sweet. It's deeper than we could see. You know, one day I'm running for Congress. I know I have to start within my community first, but one day I'm running for Congress because every day I want to get political. I want to get on my social media and I want to become so political, not just for me, but for my mother to start off. I want to say some things to these politicians and use my platform to bash them because they are diselected. It's become bigger. I mean, you know, my mother doesn't even want to vote next year. I mean, that's way beyond stuff. But I think that it's just a lot going on, and it's bigger than we could say, than we can talk about. I think the truth of the matter is we are more than conquerors. We have to think bigger than the system that has designed our thinking pattern. And only those who are geniuses at thinking past that can see bigger than the average person. And that's why you want to look up to somebody, because the only way you want to look up to somebody is because you're not looking at what's in front of you and you can't see what's going on. So therefore, you're still looking for a leader to guide you, when if you take time and slow down and just look at it and acknowledge it and be truthful about what's going on, there could be no rapper, there could be no politician, there could be no artist that could judge you. And hip hop has done so much for us. What has hip hop done? Look at the platform it's given us. No one would ever have imagined that the platform of hip hop would be here to have this kind of say so in anything. You know, look at Snoop Dogg, for example. The fact that Snoop can smoke his weed and go wherever he want to do and be whoever he want to do, is the impact. It's the work he's put in. Don't get me wrong. He's done a lot of work in the communities. And I love him because he's so authentic, and he is one of the only realists that still survives here in California. But it takes people like that to who are not, who's what is it called? Whose image doesn't contradict who they are. You know, some people are so afraid to be new because it might fuck up who they were. But the fact that you can continuously grow and build in this industry that we created is an amazing thing. All right, I'm done.
I want to touch on what the caller had, or the Zoomer had said in regards to these murders sometimes, or some of them possibly tied into the industry or the labels or whatever. This is my advice, and he or she is absolutely right. I follow a lot of these cases. Of course, Nipsey, I knew Nipsey. I've known him since he was really young. I knew him since he was Thundercat. I've managed Cobby. I'm from Overhill. I'm from Windsor Hills. I'm from that area. However, just with the passing of young Dolph and all of the things that I hope is not to come in regards to his passing and the involvement with all these other crews and CMG and Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta and all of this stuff, it's a perpetuating cycle. And even though, you say, oh, I'm independent. No, there are distributors and there are labels and there are others that benefit on your passing. And I'm going to tell you, brothers, right now, it's not worth it. It's not worth it because you're not going to be here any longer. Cut the crap, because I also feel that, sometimes there's other types of deeper involvement where it's not really directly those crews, but they are there's
California,
agents of destruction that come in to do these things. And because, people have egos and, you, like you said about the bravado and, you trying to prove something or whatever, but it's serious. It's really serious. And you need to, young people, y'all need to realize, as Black people and Latino people and brown people, people of color,
yes, baby,
like what we're putting out there, what comes back, what's real, what's not. And the social media is a blessing and a curse. And in regards to perpetuating the violence and all of that stuff and everything like that. But the young man or lady that made the comment is right. I don't like it. I see through it. I follow a lot of these cases. I'm not going to speak on a lot of things that I do know, but you're absolutely right. And so we as a people, we as a hip hop community, we definitely need to stop the bullshit, because we're in hip hop, we're in a full pandemic. We're in a full, aspect of life or death and freedom right about now. And that's important.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear rapping about, is your freedoms.
Yes.
You know what I was going to say? I'm sorry to cut you off real quick. I want to say, and LA is known for having fake cops hang with rap groups. LA is known for having
hip hop police.
LA is known for having hip hop police. LA is known for having the Los Angeles sheriffs. There's so much corruption in Los Angeles. So you don't know who's shooting at you. You don't know if it's an undercover Black man in a car acting like a gangbanger, or a hater of a hip hop group. LA has been taunted. Everything in Los Angeles is so suspect. So I know I'm not gonna go into that.
And it's not even just Los Angeles. It's Memphis. It's Atlanta. It's New York. It is.
They set them up. They set these brothers up.
Look at the Biggie case. Look at the Biggie case. Look at the things.
And that's the sad part about being a part of hip hop. When you know that, and when you see that, and that's the sad part, because you have so many people dying to get in it and wanting to be a part of it. And then you have to, the more you know, and the more you grow, you're like, hey, listen, slow down, watch who you have with you. I know, sorry.
Yeah. No, but you're right. And I think that we are now at a turning point, right? Like enough is enough. And the pandemic slowed us down enough so that we could think about these liberties that we are giving up. Today, Maria Isa, who's a rapper out of St. Paul, Minnesota, announced that she was running for Congress. So it's so funny that you mentioned that today, Yo-Yo, because, George Floyd was her bodyguard. And I don't know if it had anything to do with it, but she's like, I'm running for Congress. And she's a young sister, like maybe in her 30s, late 30s. And, we've had Rosa Clemente run for vice president in the Green Party, Erica Ford in Queens with her I Love My Life organization. She's run for Congress. And of course, Kevin Powell has run for Congress. So I think hip hop is stepping up. We're going to take over, right? Our narrative, and we're building our own schools, right? Our own housing projects, our own labels, but we got to be careful not to become the oppressor. So we have to check each other. And I think having leaders that speak about these things is going to be really important. So there's something to look forward to. Pa'lante.
They look up to us. We have a responsibility, not just to be great, but to become leaders. And sometimes being leaders don't make you great. Being leaders just gives you the advantage to go and have people trust you and love you. And what is love? Love is understanding. When people love you, to get people to love hip hop, to get people to love you, what do you have to do to get people to love you? You have to give of yourself. And it can't just be success. It can't just be a successful album. It just can't be music. The love of hip hop is bigger than music itself. Hip hop has created something that no man, no woman, no entity can interfere with. Why? Because it comes from truth. That's what Compton did. That truth of these artists, that truth did something. It became, like Cube said, and the CNN of our hood. It gave people an inside look. Had you not, I don't have to worry about what New York is saying about LA or Compton or South Central. Why? I know it from firsthand. You can come, people call me and say, what the hell happened and what's going on here in Compton? What happened? I don't have to worry about being an onlooker. I can tell them firsthand, I experienced it. I know what we need to get through. And thanks to hip hop, thanks for those who had the courage from Compton to step forward. Thanks to those from New York who decided to bridge the gap, to say, okay, we can't be selfish. Hip hop is everywhere. And thanks to those CEOs whose offices were only on the East Coast. Thanks to them for accepting us and allowing us to be a part of this history now that we consider hip hop. 40-something years later. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have some more questions, but I'm going to end with this one. If you were asked to give any of the current female rappers or aspiring female rappers any advice, what would you tell them? Whoever would like to answer, just...
I'll make mine short and sweet, and then we can all answer. I would tell an upcoming female MC to, first of all, you have to perform. A studio rapper is not going to work. You have to trust in yourself. You got to do the work. Nobody's going to do it for you. You have to be sure of yourself. Your coochie's not going to get you to the top. If you want longevity, you have to think big. You know, I always knew what I wanted to be in life, and it was more than just a rapper. So if rap is here to stay, rap can't take you to you 80. So make sure you have a business mind. Make sure you respect people, because the worst thing you can see is a disrespectful female. So make sure you have respect. To be somebody great, you have to be respectful. What comes around goes around. The same people you see going up, you're going to see going down. And this industry is like a male's rap group. It's very small. Be careful.
That was perfect. I don't think I could say too much more than that. And I would say have self-respect for yourself. Like she says, the industry is very small. You think you can be on one coast and then do your dirt on one coast, and it's not going to swing back all the way over to a whole nother coast, because she said this industry is very, very small, even though you might be 3,500 miles away. I would also say that I would not sleep with, people that I work with or want to work with, or that are a part of any type of business structure that I have, because once they get mad at you and they don't want to be with you anymore, or you don't want to be with them anymore, they may have an opportunity to ruin, blackball, or blackball you in certain aspects, or have your, whatever. So find you somebody outside out of the industry and work hard, like really work hard, like put it down. We as women have to always be above and beyond anyways. It doesn't matter about hip hop. It could be a job as an executive, as a doctor. We always have to be above and beyond. But with hip hop, because it is a boys club, you better be about your thing. You better be, if you're in a crew, you better write your stuff. You better be the one that comes with it, first. Yeah. You better, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, if being a studio rapper is one thing, but performing and being a full artist and getting the booze or getting the experience, that's what it's all about. Can you control a crowd? Can you actually, rock a mic, if you're going to be a rapper and not like a studio person or, something that's unreal. Have a secondary plan, make money, invest, do different things, diversify. Like you said, I don't know too many people outside of the yo-yos and the Latifahs that can brand themselves and that had a plan to do all these other things. do that, make it a stepping stone, just like a reality show is like a big advertising or commercial. Take advantage of that. And just be original. I would say be original, because there's so many Megans and Cardis and this and that and Nickis and whatever, and just do you.
And don't be afraid to talk to a lawyer. If you got a dentist lawyer, a house lawyer, any kind of lawyer, your mama got a lawyer, your friend got a lawyer. Don't be afraid to find somebody to say, help me, because the fear is in the paperwork.
And guess what? If you don't have
it, paperwork, and even if you want to sign it like me, I didn't give a shit what nobody was going to say. I was signing that contract. I was getting a deal. I didn't care what nobody, my mama, my daddy, my sister, my brothers, nobody had to say. I was signing. But if you want to be that way, you're going to need a friend in the long run. So you're going to have to find you a lawyer friend. So instead of looking for a girlfriend or a boyfriend, go look for you a lawyer friend, because you're going to need one.
Yeah, and an accountant, right? Because you don't want to get money and let it all disappear like that. No. You have to think like a mogul. You have to become that mogul. You have to think, you have to manifest it, and just be careful of your thoughts and your, what you're thinking, because you're going to manifest it, right? And yes, the big picture is that no longer is hip hop a US thing. It's a global industry, culture. And so you can rap in Spanish, you can rap in Chinese, you can be a break dancer, you can be a visual artist, you can be a stylist, you can be anything you want, and you can wear multiple hats, where you can be the boss lady, you can mentor someone, you can open up a school like somebody we know, and you can do it all. And I think that's really the message, is that no longer do you have to rely on traditional music labels, record labels. You can build yourself from the ground up, because you have the tools. Now build the community.
Right. Also, too, in regards to the lawyer, let's say you don't know anybody, you can't make a friend, or even if you made a friend, he wants to charge you and you don't really have the money right about now, or your deal is not, conducive of being a lawyer being paid for. You can always, within your state, there's always some type of legal aid, free legal aid, that you can actually get to be able to have a lawyer that can look over your stuff. And through that, you could probably find an entertainment lawyer that could at least help you out. If no, but like she says, most lawyers understand the basic aspect of, deals, but if it comes to a major deal, you need a entertainment lawyer, because there's other lawyers that I can run circles around, because they don't know the specialized business or how to the things that go in these contracts that they might not be, familiar with. So if you can't find somebody to help you or to befriend along the way, I would definitely consult any of your state's legal aids that are, there for people that might not have the money to retain one.
Thanks, you. Thank you. I was writing notes. But we're coming to the end, and I just want to thank you, SenYon Kelly, Martha Diaz, Shari Henry, Yolanda Yo-Yo Whitaker. Thank you for coming home for a minute. And I can see, as we all can, a part 2, 3, and 4 from this. So SenYon, we'd love to do that. And thanks everyone for joining us tonight. And thank you for hanging with us with Reading the City. And we'll see you next year.
Thanks for having me. Bye, guys. Thanks for hanging.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, ladies. Thank you, SenYon. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Martha.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you. I'll see you on the West Coast.
Yes,
absolutely. Bye.
Yo-Yo Fearless on social media. If you need me, reach out to me.